Hi, welcome back to formerly Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener. We are now Missouri Crooked Barn Homestead, and we are out here enjoying what little bit of sunlight there's going to be today because it has been very rainy, very wet here in northern Missouri for quite a bit. And well, we've got quite a few new animals that have joined the homestead. So we moved to Missouri to start homesteading. And if you want to call it homesteading, I'm not really sure of that modern age word of homesteading because to me, in the past history, homesteading always meant moving to land that was basically put up for free and then you just kind of moved in on it. Homesteading, so I guess now we are officially homesteaders because we have 7 acres out in northern Missouri with a house that is not quite a farmhouse but is becoming that. And we have gotten quite a few plants already in. We have not started the garden as yet. It has just been too cool and too wet here, I believe. So we've got some time. We've got a much longer season here than we had back in Cheyenne. So we have got some time. We've got all of our plants are ready to go. Just need to get them in the ground. We have a new rooster for our flock. We have 8 hens that are full grown. We have now added more, and I'm going to show you those along the way. But so we do have a new rooster. He is a red laced Wyandotte, and he has blue lace underneath. So he has quite a few blue feathers. Now that he's turned, you can see the blue feathers sort of all throughout him. But he is quite a rooster. His name is Maximus, and he is 20 pounds of rooster. So he is quite a huge rooster, and our hens are pretty large as well. They're 10 to 15 pounds each. I've got one hen right now that seems like she may have pneumonia. She's still laying. She's still acting okay. In fact, she was a little worse yesterday than she is today. Today she's kind of moving around, and we've had a couple of hens that have shown that. I've been watching really closely to make sure that it's not anything more serious, and I think you know what we're talking about. So far, it just seems to be something a little bit viral, just moving through the flock, and has come and gone. It's usually gone within a couple of days. So she appears to be moving around okay today. She just sounds a little phlegmy, I guess if you want to say that. She's kind of sounding like she's got something in her throat. And she could just have some blockages in there or something. But we're just keeping an eye on it and making sure that she gets extra feed and things that she needs, and just keeping an eye on it. So that's our new rooster that has joined the flock. And as you can see, we've gotten some new bird feeders and things like that. There's all kinds of birds here. And you can see how green it is right now from all the rain. We've got blackberry vines right now that are blooming. So that's probably accounting for a little bit of the little cool snap that we're having. It's still in the upper 60s. We're at 67 today, so it's not too cool. And as you can see, we've got this huge field in front of us. This belongs to another farmer who has 360 acres or so. And you can just see for such a long way. And I think he's letting it go to hay now. I haven't seen his cows. He has quite a lot of Angus cows. A lot of the farmers here in northern Missouri actually rent out their land, either for cattle or for corn and soybeans, or all three, which is what he seems to do. Um, he has quite a few cattle, I think, is his own kind of business, but then he also rents out his land for corn and soybeans because we've already seen him planting. There's a huge tractor across the field that way. If you can see that out in the distance with plows on it and things like that. They've been preparing their fields, so they haven't planted either. So they must know what's up. So they're just kind of holding off on planting. They've just kept preparing their soil. So I don't feel bad about being a little bit late. So that's what's going on with our larger flock, or should I say mature flock. We actually have quite a few new additions other than that. And there you can see a bird just went on the bird feeder. I'm not sure what kind it is. Some sort of little finch. You can see its head popping out over there, I think. Looks like it might just be a house finch or something, and it's kind of avoiding me. Quite cute. Anyway, let's go see what's going on with some of the rest of the flock. So as you can see, we still have our old chicken coop, but we do have a new chicken coop. So here's a little bit of a story that happened while we were moving. We actually put the carriers, as you can see right there, inside of this coop as it was on the truck. And that worked quite well for our 8 chickens that we had at the time. Now we have more chickens, so that would not be possible, but they did work very well. And we actually left this one out here because we put our young chickens in it, and sometimes our guineas, now we have guineas, they go into it as well. So we've got 4 guineas that are running around here somewhere, and we do have a lot of ticks in northern Missouri that we found out. So guineas are necessary. So we have 4 guineas running around. They've done really well on all the ticks. So that's worked out. We also found out that having a galvanized steel trash can for all of our feed, which is what I had back in Cheyenne, has worked out really, really well. We can actually leave this out here and we don't have to worry about anything getting into it, and it doesn't get wet. So that is working out fantastic. We've got more feeder pans. Our chickens now free range all the time. So we have more feeder pans that we just have sitting out with food in them that they can access at any time, but they have been mostly going around and free ranging. And then we have 4 younger chickens. These are 2 Mystic Onyx that are in here and 2 silver laced Wyandottes. All are pullets, we believe. And those are working out quite nicely. So that's our 4 a little bit older, actually, babies, because we've got more now. So that's our 4 there, and we have their water and food in here, and they just come and go as they please. So they mostly venture to this bush over here, which looks like it is a yellow rose, probably a yellow Texas rose or something. We didn't know what any of these bushes were when we moved here. We didn't really have any history on the place. So that looks like a yellow rose. And the little chickens seem to be hanging out under this bush quite often. They also hang out with the guineas. So you can hear the guineas, I think, in the background. So that's our 4 guineas. We got 4 pearl guineas. So they're out there somewhere in the field. And here is one of the wells. This one is no longer connected, but it actually still has water in it. It's full. And it was used previously, so we're going to get that back set up. And as you can tell, it's all concreted and everything. It just was setting full, and they just disconnected everything. So that is there. And you can still hear the guineas in the background. And then a few days ago, we went and picked up a very old but very usable trailer, stock trailer, to get more animals. And it has actually already been put into use. I will show you what it was put in use for. But this is our stock trailer. Just a really old 16-foot stock trailer. But they did add quite a few updates to it. So it does work very well. And they put some new shroud on it and things like that. So it's not anything pretty. It's just serviceable. And all of the gates work. And that hitch and tongue works really well. So that all works really nicely. But I'll show you what it exactly was used for. And it's really hard, by the way, to find used trailers that have a title. So my rule of thumb, because my father was an auto mechanic, is he always said, if you buy anything that is a vehicle, a trailer, always make sure that it has a title with it, because you just never know what could happen. And plus, being able to use it out on the highways without being stopped. So we got a title with ours, and it's really hard to find a used trailer with a title. So we were lucky in that aspect. We got a title with this one, and we just picked it up a few days ago. But let me show you the reason why. We're going to head down to the big barn. And before we get to the big barn, which is right there, I wanted to show you all this property. So we have 7 acres. And a lot of it is fenced, but a lot of it is very old fence, and some of it is missing. So we're having to repair quite a bit of fence around here so we can get what's in the barn now, and came in on our new stock trailer, out into the fields. So you can see we have Osage orange trees here, as well as all sorts of different trees. We have 2 frost frees, one of which is down at the barn. So let's head on down there. So this is why we had to have that trailer. This is Plunger, that is his name, and he is a 600-pound Duroc boar. So he rode on the trailer quite nicely. He loaded up very easily. He did break out of our barn yesterday. We had intended to put him into this stall, which is a very large stall they used to keep cattle in. You can see it has kind of a hay crib over there, but unfortunately it's just a homemade hay crib. And we've got him some straw over there in case he just wanted to make a new bed over there. And he's got plenty of room to roam around. And that's not his only water water pan. Actually, I have this big water bowl here. So that one is completely full. He's already been fed today. This is in the afternoon. He ate this morning, so that's his feed pan. He constantly turns it over. Sometimes we have to just keep switching feed pans out. But this is Plunger. He is a big old boy. I just gave him a bath yesterday, in which it looks like he's already dirty again. He was completely caked with mud when we got him, but he was very well taken care of. They took very good care of him, and they absolutely loved him. And unfortunately, he was too large for the sows that they have. So we decided to go ahead and get him, and we're going to try to find him a sow that is big enough to be able to handle him, because he is such a big boy. He's a nice big red hog. That's what Durocs are. And he is just huge. He's only 14 months old. So he is just a huge boy for his age. Looks like he's getting a little hungry again already, but we need to hold off until the evening. He's getting used to being cut down on food a little bit, because the people that had him were feeding him a half of a 5-gallon bucket every day, which is way too much food. So we had to barricade him in quite a bit because he has broken out already. We've had to get him back in, and it was very difficult to get him back in because he is 600 pounds of muscle. And he is just a really big hog. So we are working on this because this barn was not created for hogs. And we would love for him to be able to get out. We've had hog panels, and we've got a still, looks like old bed railings over there that we've put up. And there are fortunately 2 concreted in steel poles that have been able to hold him so far. But he is just so big that he could break through just about anything, as he's already proven. So anyway, this is Plunger, the big hog, and he does know his name. So this is the part of the barn that we originally had him in, and this is the part we did not want him in. But when we unloaded him, instead of going into the portion of the barn that he's in now, he went into this portion. So once we got him in, all we could do was really lock him in because he was just so big. And as you can see, yesterday he ripped the door off of the hinges. So he actually had this entire portion here that he had made his bed in. And he had this entire portion here. This is a second stall that he was joined to and had the door open for. And he made a mud wallow in here, and we had his food over here. And he just went right through that door like nothing. And there's another adjoining door here and another stall. As you can see, that's how the doors worked. And unfortunately, they are just doors that are sitting on pins. And when he lifts up with his nose underneath them, he can pull them just right off. And he knows exactly how to do that. He's already done it with the door that's on the stall that he has now. I wish there wasn't a door that was able to open in the stall. So we are just basically looking at all kinds of different options. We've got some hog panels to try and contain him. But hog panels honestly do not work with him. He is just so big. He just goes right through them, over them, anything. So that was one of the reasons we ended up with him as well, as they said that he was really destructive. Not that he meant to be destructive, it's just that he's so large that not really much is able to contain him. So we are doing our best. And if it comes to worst, and we can't contain him, then we know what our other options are, because he is 600 pounds of Duroc boar. So that is the other reason we ended up with him. And another reason was because he was so large that he just broke basically one of their sows, and they had to end up going ahead and taking the other route with her because he was so large. So this is the other stall that adjoins to those other two stalls. So we could have actually just let him have full range. There's 4 stalls here that he could have had access to, but unfortunately he broke that door. And then there's a missing board on the barn that we would have had to very quickly have remedied, and we just did not have that board yet. So we've got a whole bunch of things going on, a whole bunch of projects, but this is the barn. And then there's actually another stall that we could put him in if we wanted to, that is fully enclosed and he would not be able to get out of because it is steel enforced on the inside. This is that stall, but we did not want to put him in here because it has a concrete floor, and hogs have a really hard time with concrete floors. It just does a whole mess with their feet, and you can see that steel sides, and we'd have to take a whole bunch of things out of here. It looks like they used to use this as either a chicken coop or as storage for the barn, but it has a window, and it just is much more secure than the other area would be. But I just did not want to put him in here because of this concrete floor. And it would be kind of a pain in the butt to try to get him in because there is a lip here at the door to try to get him in. And then again, we would have to reinforce the door. The door is the weak point in here as well. So as you can see, it's a nice area of the barn that used to be electrical lights in here. Unfortunately, the electricity has been severed because the barn needs work. So there's a lot of things that we need to do, and the barn is functional, it's dry, but there's just some things that we need to do to the barn to get it fully working. So we haven't gotten any goats or sheep yet, but that is in the plans to get those. And we probably could go ahead with those because they would honestly be less of an issue than it would be with the boar. But anyway, right now we're having to lock this with, we don't have any padlocks on it or anything like that, so we're just having to lock it with what we can. But this is the view outside of the barn. Plenty of wide open spaces, and when he got out of the barn yesterday, he actually ended up over in this section, so he didn't go very far. And there is a fence there that is electrified, so he did not go very far at all. There is another well down there where you see that big round stock tank. There's a well down there. That one is fully full of water as well. And I'm glad he didn't get down there because that well is not actually secured. It is full of water. The boards that were put on top of it are actually rotting out, so we need to get that covered up with some concrete or something. Unless we're going to go ahead and use it. We have 2 wells, 2 frost-frees, all kinds of access to water if needed. And as you can see, all these pastures that we can work on. The back part of the pasture is pretty much fully fenced and is still standing, but there's just areas that are just not as fortified as they should be, and there's some missing fences in places. So we need to get that done, especially on the front side. And here is our 4 guineas. You can finally take a look at them. They will actually get pretty close to you. We tried to make them as friendly as possible. They still won't jump in your arms or anything, but they're a lot friendlier than most guineas that I've ever seen. And here is our new chicken coop. This is a second chicken coop that we have on the property. We're going to be enclosing this within a pen very shortly. And it has a little run with it, not very big, but it's just enough for some of our new chickens. We've got a bunch of Easter eggers here and Americanas. So here they are. And there's 6 of those. One of them is not an Americana. She was actually stuck in there in the group with them. You can see that little white one there. She actually has a couple of white dots or black dots on her body. So we think that she is a California white. So she will be a white hen with black dots and lays white eggs. So she'll be our only white egg layer. We just got her because she was stuck in the bin with all the others and she was just by herself. So we got her. We have the others that are Easter eggers and Americanas. And this new chicken coop is very large in comparison with our old one. It has enough room for about 25 chickens. Has a lot of ventilation on it. We ended up just getting this off of Wayfair, and we have it secured down pretty well. We used our own screws and things like that on it. So it is a much larger chicken coop, as you can see. And it does have 3 nest boxes in it, as well as our other chicken coop. But they are quite large in comparison with our other one. And as you can see, there's a lot of room in there, 2 big roost poles, and enough room for a lot of chickens in there. We like our chickens actually closer together than farther apart when they're in a chicken coop, especially in the wintertime, because then we don't have to have additional heating or light or anything like that. And they will still continue to lay. And that is kind of the key. Sometimes more room is not the best. Sometimes just having enough room is the best. So you can see here it's got multiple doors on it. And I think it'll serve our purposes very well for a while, at least as a temporary coop. I could actually put the chickens right now in the barn if I wanted to, back into that room that we just saw on the video, and have set that up and had plenty of room for hundreds of chickens. But we have decided to keep our flock to about 24 laying hens, and we will have some meat birds eventually. But this is our new coop, and we're not going to have it very far away from our garden, which we will be fencing off. The garden will be going here in this area. So we will get tilling on this pretty soon, and it will be a good half-acre garden, and we'll produce all the food that we need for this year, and then we will expand most likely in the next year. So we have ended up finding out we have blackberry bushes. We also have some plums on the property. We have some apples. We have roses and all kinds of little plants all around here and there. So that will be what we do here. And it's just a beautiful property. We are so happy to be here that we have moved, even though we missed some things about Wyoming. There are other things that we don't miss, such as the short season. We definitely love the area, but we don't like the ticks. But that's just something we have to get used to. So far, mosquitoes have not been very bad at all. We have not had to deal with mosquitoes very much. There's been a couple of biting flies so far. I'm sure that'll get worse as the season goes in. But we definitely love seeing lightning bugs again, which I had not been able to do. If you've been following our videos for a while, then you know that I'm originally from East Tennessee. So lightning bugs and ticks and all of those things were a common occurrence there, and we know how to deal with those. So this is not anything new for us. My partner, it's new for him because he was originally born in California, and he was never really raised on a huge farm. He did have a little bit of a farm, and they had pigeons. So we are looking at getting pigeons as well here, because that's something that I've done before in the past. And we love pigeons. So that will be something we will look into. That might be a possible one of the chicken coops that gets converted to an aviary. And then there's always a possibility of getting what they have here in Missouri are really big metal corn cribs. So they look like just giant aviaries, and we may get one of those for some pigeons as well. So there again is a view of the new chicken coop. And then of course we've got actually a couple of turkeys. They're inside the house right now because turkeys do not handle rain very well, and we've got some rain going on today. And we've got a few more chickens in the house as well. Some more Wyandottes or gold lace Wyandottes. And we have a couple of cuckoo Morans in there. So we've got all these chickens coming on, and the homestead is starting to take shape. Even if it's really rough around the edges and we don't have everything going, that's okay, because we will figure it out. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out, and take this trip with us as we begin to homestead.